Welcome to the Acquired Taste Podcast. We are back. It's Tech Daddy and, well, Ben and John. Ben and John. You guys don't have nicknames, so I can't really, go into...
Maybe John is my nickname. That's Ben's nickname.
Wrong pipe immediately. How do?
Yeah, and
First sound into the episode.
unfortunately, I don't edit these at all. So
I don't care.
Let's stay in.
I don't care. I just did a wedding. I'm just glad it didn't happen then.
That's true. Yeah, that's very true. Anyways, welcome to Acquired Taste Podcast. We're back. If you're new, thanks for giving us a shot. Thanks for giving us a listen. We do about 15 so odd minutes of banter to get us warmed up. Then we get into the topic. So if you want to skip ahead and do that, you're welcome to. We're gonna miss something funny. I can almost guarantee it. If you're a returning listener, welcome back. We appreciate you sticking with us throughout these years of our shenanigans and somehow knowledgeable topics. And we appreciate it.
Years, plural.
This way too.
I know. I'm just saying.
There's one, and then there's the other.
It's a statement of amazement.
I mean, I'm shocked every time. Well, we do our research. Anyways, so thanks for coming back. We appreciate it. The DJ's not here. He's
with the Penguins.
Maybe in Cambodia.
He might be in Cambodia or Laos.
I like to think he's happy feeding it up down with the Penguins.
Yeah, we'll go with that. And then B, we left her at the wedding, so
Haven't seen her since.
yeah, haven't seen her since.
It's a good place for her.
Gone.
I did see her at breakfast that morning, so never mind. She was at the hotel at least, so that's
She's on some kind of fucking work trip and won $20 today. She can kick rocks.
That's probably the most luck she's ever had.
$20 is all it takes for you to change your attitude towards somebody.
$20 is $20.
Aryan motherfucker.
We always say. I mean, I do habitually call you Hitler's wet dream, so it's kind of an ongoing joke at this point. So anyways, yeah, if you're a returning listener, we do appreciate you. Unfortunately, no forward kisses today because I don't do them. The people that do them are not here. As I mentioned, there's penguins involved, and there was a wedding, and we don't know what happened. So
Cambodian penguins.
Oh, that was a really racist image. I just got the most racist image in my brain. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Take
my tablet and try it. I'm not seeing it in my head.
I will draw you a picture later. How about that? If it's good enough, it'll be on a shirt.
And our patrons can see that image. But it's importantly behind a paywall.
I have it on good authority that Cambodian penguins party with raccoons.
Oh, those yeah. If you wonder the raccoons we're referring to, please go back and listen to our last episode about duels. Well, that was 2 episodes ago, but you know what I mean. That was.
I was there.
Missing 411.
Oh, you don't remember the raccoons?
Where did the raccoons?
No, you weren't there for missing 411, were you?
Oh, was that the missing? I'm sorry, I got my episodes mixed up
because it was the creepy camping stories.
Oh,
that was the question. I didn't have one for camping. I just had one for the middle of nowhere.
I just had
right.
The image of raccoons. First, raccoons dueling. Second of all, people dueling with raccoons.
That is also a distinct possibility. I forgot to close my screen door downstairs. Anyways, so maybe later tonight I will be also dueling with raccoons. Stay tuned.
Oh, no, I meant people using the raccoons as the weapon, not necessarily dueling against the raccoon.
I went in both directions.
I might do the same.
It was wonderful.
Stay
dueling
tuned.
raccoons with raccoons.
Let's see what the night takes me.
I just really want to hear a raccoon or a French accent. Hungry!
Whipping.
I don't know. That reminded me of this video I saw on the internet of a husky. You know how huskies ooh on everything.
Yeah,
and it was doing that, but in an Italian accent. It was fucking hilarious.
I've seen that.
I would hope so. I'm pretty sure I sent it to you. You have huskies. I sent it to everybody I know that owns huskies.
Yeah, they're assholes.
But this was an Italian one.
Bigger assholes.
It's a hairier asshole.
That's hard to do.
It is. We're talking about huskies and Italians.
Yeah.
And notoriously husky people.
Yeah. Shout out to Sushi. Anyways. Shit. That was a good wedding. That was a good wedding.
Oh, that was a good wedding. Tucci, wear a shirt.
You know, it's not a party until it takes your shirt off, really.
Yeah, but it also quickly stops being a party.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those things of like, first minute, everyone's like, oh, Tucci took his shirt off, and everyone's like, but can he put it back on?
Those are some nice suspenders there doing God's work.
They're doing something. I also want to wear suspenders more often. The freeing feeling of not wearing a belt was magical.
I hear it's wonderful.
It was a great feeling.
Are something else, and they're fantastic.
I felt good with it.
Full support.
Really want to wear them more often, so I'm going to look at that. And then, of course, shout out to Leslie and Sis for getting married this weekend. That's pretty tight. Because Sis has been on the podcast, and Leslie does listen to us. So,
yeah.
Shout out to them. Congratulations on getting married.
Happy marriage, friends.
Yeah,
everybody in this room was in attendance.
We were there. We should have recorded the wedding. That would have been a bad idea. That would have been a bad idea.
Brandy didn't think we were kidding. Mostly because I wasn't kidding.
I didn't think so.
I'm telling you, highest tier on the Patreon level will come do your wedding for free. It's going to be a podcast episode. We're just roasting the shit out of you the entire time.
Yeah, one of the lesser known things about the podcast is myself and Ben are both ordained. Yeah. So we can marry people. So if you want to get married by required taste, reach out to us. We'll do it.
Yeah,
it might not be good.
Yeah, I retired, but I could be talked into coming out.
Yeah,
also, John doesn't speak for me. You are fucking feeding me. It is not free.
Yeah, I do demand food, actually. Yeah, it better be good.
Free.
You said free.
You did say free.
You said free.
I also said for the highest tier on the Patreon level.
Yes, but that does not involve me getting fed. Mm-hmm. So, food or bridesmaid? Give me one.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Anyways, what we got going on today?
You get DJ.
All right, so let's get into the our question of the day. What was your favorite, and I mean over the top, action movie? I'm thinking like 80s and 90s. What we got going on here?
Oh God, I'm gonna insult some people.
Why stop now?
Yeah, right. You're already an affront to my being. So what's up?
So, like when you ask that question, my immediate thought process is like, if I could watch an action movie right now, like what would it be?
Sure.
Tropic Thunder.
You are the second person to say that today, actually.
Okay, I feel less insane.
So it's not from that era, though. But okay,
we were keeping it 80s and 90s, our childhood.
Well,
our
childhood. You were.
Well, when you brought up the question initially before the record, there was no 80s or 90s, so that was my answer. But no, I fucking love that movie. It's hilarious. It's actiony. I could watch that all fucking day.
Yeah, it could never be remade.
Oh, absolutely not.
we gotta enjoy what we had.
That was allowed.
Every country gets one. Every country gets one race mulligan. That was it.
Yeah, that was RDJ got that one, and I love that. Like nobody has tried to cancel him.
No,
because it was so good.
No,
I think because it's to a degree like it's self-aware.
Oh yeah,
it's supposed to be stupid and ridiculous.
No, it is. Like
it's more a comment on Hollywood.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely was a comment on commentary on Hollywood.
Well, I meant that specifically. It's like an analog for a commentary on more.
It's pointing out how bad it is. And
while simultaneously not pointing out how bad it actually is.
It's meta as shit.
Yeah. Harvey Weinstein was still out philandering. They could have done more, is what I'm saying.
Didn't he just finally get charges pressed against him, or is he still?
I have no idea.
I thought some of his charges were coming off. Kevin Spacey's out.
I hate it here.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to any of that shit, to be honest with you.
I see a headline here or there, and I just fucking remember it.
Yeah, I don't even have that much. My algorithm is set to pretty much nerd news, racing news, some car stuff, other car stuff, sports, and then more nerd stuff. Yeah, I don't get any of the entertainment news at all.
This is my work computer, so it's Microsoft Edge. And every time,
mention off too.
Yeah, every time you every time you open a new window, it's the home page.
You can change that.
I mean, it's there for 2 seconds, but
sure.
and then I'll see a thing. Kevin Spacey released.
If you ever feel like changing that, though, I can step you through it real quick.
Okay.
Super easy.
The fact that he doesn't know how to change his home screen.
Matt knows, just don't care. This doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I'm really controlled about my media. But anyways, what you got for your movie, man?
I think, and this is, as always, this would be subject to change.
Sure.
But fuck John for not going with a Schwarzenegger.
That's fair.
It really is a tie between Predator and Commando, but I'm going to say...
God damn it, that's funny.
I'm going to say Commando because that one is... over the top. Predator is actually a theatrical masterpiece when you boil it down to its base levels.
It's funny that you mentioned that. I was in between Predator and Rambo.
Oh, actually. No shit.
Yeah, I was in between Predator and Rambo.
Hell yeah.
Because Predator was such a great movie.
But that's the thing, is like, you can't even really call it over the top. Like, literally.
Dude, all right.
It's only over the top because there's a fucking alien in it.
It's a 5-minute scene of them just
dumping ammo. Just dumping rounds in the tree line.
The dude's carrying a minigun.
He did have a minigun.
Same minigun as in Terminator 2. But anyway.
That minigun has so many rounds and he had so much sweat.
So
that sweat was real.
That was the over top part.
They were in the jungle. That was real.
The reason I say that is because Predator, unlike Commando or any other things that we would, or Rambo. I mean, Rambo, I can't even say that necessarily. But Predator is really 3 or 4 different movies rolled into one. Like, it is a cinematic marvel. Maybe not cinematic. A writing marvel and an acting marvel, because first it's your action, your adventure, and everything. Then it turns into a thriller. Then it turns into a horror movie. Then at the end, it finally turns into some sort of sci-fi horror survival movie. All that wrapped up in a neat 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Or however long however long it actually is. So that's why I say, like, it's really not over the top other than a couple scenes.
Yeah. I think Rambo, the reason why I picked that one is because it's actually topical for what we're going through today.
Very much so.
It's very, very on brand with what we got going on today. I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, very much so.
But I mean, it's that era, though, of like the manliest movies possible. Like with the biggest muscles and the biggest guns.
Well,
shooting some kind of communist.
Well, and God bless. But this era informed that era.
Definitely. Oh, yeah, 100%.
Carryovers and whatnot.
100%.
And there was also natural progression when you go from like John Wayne.
Oh, yeah.
And everything. Because, I mean, essentially, in a lot of ways, you could boil a lot of those actors down and say that they're just doing their version of John Wayne, but now they have machine guns.
Well, I mean, there was always the war movie aesthetic to it. I mean, because, John Wayne was in The Longest Day. Oh, yeah, well, he was a Genghis. Yeah, he was.
I just wanted to throw that in there.
It's like, whenever I think about John Wayne and Genghis Khan, I always think about Sean Connery in
The Highlander?
No, when he was that was more natural. When he was
Hunt for Red October, when he's Russian.
Not that one either, actually, but you're getting warmer.
Okay, damn it.
The SNL skit.
Beating women.
Raging alcoholic.
No, it's all of the above. I'm referring to when he was Japanese.
James Bond.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I was trying to remember which one it was. Was it You Only Die Twice?
Maybe.
I fucking forgot about.
I never, because again, John Wayne is Genghis Khan, and Sean Connery is a Japanese man.
I'm Genghis Khan.
Right. Pilgrim. Yeah, so those two things are always connected in my brain. Either one, whichever one starts first, it will always go to the other one.
Wow, Tropic Thunder was not the most racist movie talked about in this.
And you thought you had one.
Again, self-aware versus we're gonna conquer the Chinese, Pilgrim. It's gonna be stuck in my fucking head the rest of the day.
Oh man, so true.
Bring me my wives, Pilgrim. I'm going home.
Yep, that's the episode. That's it. You're welcome.
Also, Black Hawk Down. All-time favorite.
Yeah. Oh, that's just an all-time favorite war movie. And
story.
Story.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I would call it over the top, though.
I wouldn't either. Yeah, definitely not over the top.
Yeah.
It's like the GWAT precursor.
Oh yeah, it's a Tale of Things to Come.
It was Never Say Never Again, by the way, was the movie I'm thinking of.
Okay.
I was trying to remember which one it was. Like, I know he wasn't Bond for a while, then he came back again. Because he was...
Oh, yeah. He
was
break.
the last Bond movie he did before that was Diamonds Are Forever, 1971. And then he came back in 1983 and did this one.
Who was that? Roger Moore in between?
No, it was that dude that did that one movie and never did another one again. Because Roger
Lazenby?
Moore was the next one after this, I'm pretty sure.
Was it Lazenby?
I can't remember.
Okay.
I don't have that full list pulled up, unfortunately. Or, yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the right one, right? Yeah, Russia, United States, blah, blah, blah. That was the one in Vegas. I'm pretty sure it was Never Say Never Again. I hope I'm not wrong. There's so many
they
movies.
should never do that one again.
Ha! Yeah, dude,
Daniel Craig is a Jamaican. That'll be the next one.
Okay. Maybe. Let's just say maybe. Oh, yeah, because I forgot Mr. Bean was in this one, too. Jeez.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I watched any Bond movie.
Whenever they're on,
they were on AMC a lot.
like Amazon is usually where I catch it at. But usually like they'll have like a Bond marathon on Amazon and I'll watch and I'll just like sit there and just right through them all. Gotta get through them all. It's a multi-day thing for me.
That list is getting longer.
It really is, dude. It takes a few days. It's usually like holiday weekends they'll do it.
Yeah.
But anyways, we're completely off topic now. So going back to what the fuck we're going on about today. I can talk about Bond movies all day. It's kind of a bad problem.
I can talk about John Wayne as Genghis Khan all day. Apparently, I didn't know it was a thing I had, but
there's a trigger.
It's a talent.
There's a trigger. Oh man,
That's not how you spell step, pilgrim.
I'm gonna leave.
I hope that you are familiar with what we're talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
The Bond movies? Yeah.
No, the John Wayne one.
Oh no.
I'm gonna have to show you that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
Oh, you know what? It was You Only Live Twice. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I know the
think.
scene you're
Damn it.
referencing just because I've seen it in other shit.
Oh, okay. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you've seen him in the Get Up.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen like the actual movie.
Yes, I found the screenshots of it. It is You Only Live Twice. So my bad on that one. Anyways, you only live twice. You should never do that again. But he's dead, so it's fine. Anyways,
You're only Japanese.
is he
You're
dead?
only Japanese once.
Oof.
You know, every time we have the us on together, I always wonder when we're just going to get canceled.
Well, I can tell you
Not
when
today.
I can tell you when we do. I was one of mine was the last one.
Yes. All right, so today, I'm just going to get into the topic now at this point. I feel like we've warmed enough. It's also 18 minutes in, and I'm also hungry, so let's do this.
I'm sweaty.
Well, you're layered.
It's also warm.
I'm actually pretty comfortable.
I'm a little cold.
Oh, now we're the three bears. That's fine. Anyways, and not the gay way.
I think we're the porridge.
Ha! In the gay way. All right.
So Vietnam, the 1960s.
Kind of like, how the fuck do I tie this all
So,
together?
anyways, there's this fucking stupid country.
Kennedy is killed.
Yeah, Kennedy's dead. French are assholes. Let's do this. And communism bad.
LBJ won't quit showing his dick to everybody. Not a joke.
It's not, and that's what makes it worse.
And not the worst thing he did.
And
No.
also not the worst thing it did.
No, not at all. Real piece of shit, this guy.
So Vietnam.
Vietnam, a country that I plan on visiting one day to finish what my uncle started.
Does not have penguins like it.
Ooh, I don't know if that's good.
It does not have penguins like its neighbor Cambodia.
And joking about the other part, I do want to go visit though, 'cause I heard it's a very beautiful country.
Oh, I heard it. They're actually like super friendly to us, which is
Yeah, we have money and they're starving. Of course they're nice to us.
And there we go. Now we're
But,
canceled.
I've heard it's a gorgeous country and they're
Right.
actually really nice to us and they've been like highly
Well,
respectful.
gorgeous country, they're nice to us, and it's also dirt cheap to get there.
Yeah.
And also to be there.
I don't think they have great relations with China either, so that probably helps.
Well, fuck them. So, you know.
I can speak on that a little bit later.
Well, I meant communist to communist.
Yeah,
and being friends and being friendly.
The communism that China uses is different.
Well, now, yes, absolutely.
So
it's a hybridization.
Right.
But we're not going down that road.
Not today. We're not.
We're not going down that road.
Anyways, John, go ahead, man. What
I can already feel the red alert.
MACV-SOG.
Son of a bitch!
More yelling.
All right, so you want to give us the outline, man? So yes, Vietnam. What's happening?
So the topic we're covering today is MACV-SOG, which we're going to get very much into the weeds too. But for right now, all you need to know is they're kind of a special operations group. That's not what SOG stands for. We'll get to that as well.
Yeah, which is ironic, but yes, it's true.
So to give a very quick rundown of Vietnam, because I'll say very frequently up until probably a handful of years ago, I didn't know what the fuck happened in Vietnam. Like, ideally. Well, I won't say ideally, but I didn't have a good recollection. I was like, a lot of people started shooting trees and the trees shot back. And
well, honestly, until they didn't shoot back. But anyways, the thing about Vietnam that I find always interesting is that we really don't know that much about it. Like, so we have tons of documentaries about World War I, even World War I kind of iffy. World War II, though, I mean, there's so many movies about it, so many documentaries about it. It's something that's taught in school, very, very detailed. Vietnam was never taught that deeply. And most of the history I learned from it came from film or my family, because I mean, most of our family members were of that age, where most of our family members served. Like, I think most of my uncles on both sides of the family served in Vietnam. So I have their opinions in my brain. I have the very small amount that they taught us at school about it in my brain. So it wasn't until I decided to, like, fuck it, what actually happened, so that I learned what's going on here. So yeah, like most people, I don't think know why it started, why we ended up getting involved, and why America got involved. That is
that part, especially.
Yeah.
Most people don't know that the French were there.
Yeah. So
I've always made the joke of like, if you look at the era of imperialism and colonialism, and look at what happened with the French, it's always bad before they leave. It's always bad.
Well, so that's actually where I was going to kind of start, is like the World War II era time frame.
Okay.
So Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, those were all under French control and referred to as Indochina.
French Indochina.
Yes. So what basically happened is World War II kicked off and the French got pushed out. Obviously, they were having some at-home issues and preoccupied with other things. So the Japanese moved in. The Japanese were very brutal to anybody that wasn't Japanese. Yep. The Koreans saw this, the Chinese saw this, and the Vietnamese were not excused from this. So what started happening is you had go ahead, Ben. You're gonna implode if you don't say whatever.
I was letting it go. I just wonder how Sean Connery would have done in this time period.
Why are you the most distracting one today? Why is it you today?
I don't know.
What's going on here, dude?
I don't know. We started with a hot one today.
Okay.
Anywho,
you're welcome to use that one this time. This time you earned that.
I was leaving it alone, and you called attention to it.
You were gonna have a heart attack.
Still might.
Your face turned beet right.
Proceed.
Anyways, so that's where we get the resistance group, the Ho Chi Minh, which was led by Ho Chi Minh. That was his group.
Wait, hold on a second.
I might be butchering that.
It's the Viet Minh. Should be the Viet Minh.
Yep, nope.
Yeah. Right. Ho Chi Minh was the guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're correct. So
yes.
The Viet Minh. What'd you say?
He's doing a Sean Connery impression. Please continue.
Proceed.
So the Viet Minh.
Yes.
Were fighting against the Japanese pretty much the entire time. Obviously, Japan found out that there could be 3 suns in 1 year and left. After which, the French returned to the area. The Viet Minh learned that they didn't really like the French being there all that much. No. And eventually what ended up happening is we have the First Indochina War in 1953.
Did you write anything about tunnels?
I did not.
So just important caveat there is during Japanese occupation, because when people think of Vietnam, they think of the tunnels, of course, tunnel rats, this and the other.
Mm-hmm.
That is when the tunnels started. And it continued that tunnel network every time there was a conflict. And that's how it got so interconnected over the years.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's really easy to kind of look at it as, like, again, we're talking 1953. At the end of my timeline here, the U.S. pulled out of Vietnam in 1973. Mm-hmm. Imagine time span wise that essentially Vietnam was like everyone compares it to Afghanistan, resembled Afghanistan
for a good reason.
Yeah,
in many ways. Mm-hmm. So the Vietnamese, they dealt with the French, they dealt with the Japanese, they dealt with the U.S., Canadians, Australians. During this entire time span, they are in constant conflict. So, 1953, first Indochina War, and what we really see happen is the Viet Minh were successful in getting independence. So, Laos, Cambodia become independent, and then you have the State of Vietnam and the Republic of Vietnam. A few years later, 1954 happens, and the Republic of Vietnam becomes like truly independent from the North. This was done by a referendum, and it pissed the North off. They were not fans of it, and this kind of started building into what was called the Second Indochina War, which we know as the Vietnam War. So during this time frame, the Cold War is kicking off. The U.S. is basically going, oh shit, the communists just won a victory in Vietnam, and so the U.S. is starting to panic. You have the establishment of the NLF, which the U.S. will come to know as the Viet Cong, and the Viet Cong basically start just fucking attacking the South relentlessly. The U.S. being like, oh shit, we have to stop this because of
the domino theory.
The domino theory of essentially if one country falls, then its neighbors are going to fall. So the U.S. is worried about Laos, Cambodia.
Which they will. Communists starve and they kind of wilt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they all fall down eventually.
So the U.S. begins funding the shit out of this. And that's when you kind of start to see the bigger interventions from outside powers. Now, I'll say that. I don't know exactly when USSR starts getting more involved in Vietnam, but pretty much mirrored our efforts.
I'm sure it's immediate.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it has
we
to
probably
be.
have better luck finding shit about our own government over them.
Yeah, I was going to say, from any sources you dive into Vietnam, the Russians matched our input. Mm-hmm. Maybe not as noticeably because they never established bases and whatnot, but our stuff was a lot more publicized and like there were cameras there and fucking.
Oh yeah, we're flying the flag of democracy because you had it was all the damn little pocket things that resistance that were happening at the time. Because you have this is right after
Korea.
Thank you.
Yeah, 50 to 53.
Yeah, so we're talking about right after Korea, where the same thing damn near happened, almost north south again.
Just a more regular conflict.
Yeah,
comparatively speaking.
Well, yeah, it was a more traditional conflict.
Yeah, we'll talk. I'll do a little comparison to Korea, but U.S. starts freaking out, and in 1965, you see a surge of actual U.S. ground forces. Prior to this, you had observers.
Yeah, advisors.
Advisors. Basically people who were, quote unquote, training the Vietnamese, but not actually fighting. You started to see this with, again, many other nations like the French, the Australians, and then
the Afghanis. I mean, I'm not wrong.
No, you're not. But then you started to see that these advisors were being targeted. I can't remember the movie. I want to say it's a movie called Ho Chi Minh, where the movie starts off with basically a French platoon just getting absolutely decimated.
I mean, that was We Were Soldiers.
We Were Soldiers.
Oh, okay. No, it was that.
Yeah.
Then. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, with the bugler getting one right through the throat.
Yep.
Yeah, that's We Were Soldiers.
There we go.
God, I love that movie.
So
it's so good.
I might watch it later.
I might too, honestly. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. pours in 5,000 troops in 1965.
I'm down. I'm down. I watch the French get fucked up any day of the week.
And that's the end of our episode. We're gonna.
You know what? Fuck this. We're gonna go watch a movie.
I just imagine that French dealer just like.
So the U.S. comes in. Their plan is to spend basically 1966 as stabilizing the region, and then 1967 of going on the offensive. And their plan B to that was just that, but add a year. And it continued to be that forever till 1973. 1968 is when the Vietnamese launched the Tet Offensive. This was a massive surge across all areas and all fronts by the Vietnamese. And that's kind of when the peace talks start happening, because that's when the U.S. starts hammering the North with bombing.
Yeah, they bombed pretty much bombed them for, how many days was it?
So I don't have exact numbers of days, but it was a fucking lot.
It's a really weird conflict. It was a huge guerrilla war, but they had an air force.
They did.
So this is where
was it MiG-21s, MiG-20,
probably 21s.
Yeah, versus our F-4 Phantoms and the other ones that were there. The F-4 Phantoms, the F-21. Yeah, go ahead with that. I'm having a moment.
So what's funny about this is actually a war where the shock and awe campaign came into more of like an actual plan. It was identify an area, drop as much high concussive ordnance as possible, and just completely eviscerate the area.
And the Agent Orange era.
Yeah. Get
rid of the vegetation.
Is actually what killed one of my uncles, oddly enough.
It initially was believed that our airstrikes were mainly ineffective, and it wasn't until years later that we learned we were killing millions.
Yeah.
I think the one report I saw estimated death toll of the Vietnamese somewhere around 6 million in this 8-year period.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was a lot.
I feel like the highest number I saw was 3.
This was, I think, what you're talking about is more recently, isn't it?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because we had no idea.
Yeah.
The American people had no idea how bad it was.
We would hit tunnel networks, and we don't know we didn't know the extent of the tunnel networks.
Right.
Exactly.
And they were fucking collapsing, and just, again.
Yeah, we knew where they ended. We didn't know where they began.
The war saw, this war that was different from traditional carpet bombing is before we were looking for penetration on targets. We were looking for
industrial sectors and like the targets that cripple an enemy.
This war saw a lot more of just pure concussive ordnance being dropped, and it was just to create shockwaves and drop tunnels. Well, that was where the Moab actually was first conceived.
So that's part of it.
That's what happened when you gave a bunch of non-commissioned officers, like, hey, figure out how to blow up this mountain. We're just going to walk away and and close the door behind us.
We have all this TNT and all this metal. Make something.
Pretty much.
What you said there, John, it's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. But I will also say that I don't think it's said enough that Vietnam. What was it saying? Like the Pentagon's always trying to win the last war.
Yeah,
and where you had a bunch of people that had whatchamacallit, they only had a hammer. So every problem was a nail.
Yep.
Kind of situation. Because it's the first time that we've ever, and like we said before we started rolling, it's my firm belief that our time in Afghanistan would have looked completely different. Probably way more people dead. If we hadn't gone to Vietnam, and that's to say the importance or how important of a fact it is that we had never done this before, ever. Like everybody's learned this the first time live.
So 1968, that was the Tet Offensive, and afterwards we start seeing peace talks. There were some agreements made, and there was, I'll call it a period of peace, but ultimately fighting was still going on the entire time.
Yeah.
This was basically the peaceful time between the formal militaries of U.S., Southern Vietnam versus Northern Vietnam, but the Viet Cong was in full swing the entire time.
They're not going to sign a treaty.
1969, that is when Nixon takes power, Nixon takes a much different approach and goes just full throttle. Ho Chi Minh and I wrote down the wrong.
The Ho Chi Minh Trail?
The Ho Chi Minh Trail was always there. There was an offensive in 1969. I have the wrong thing written down. But essentially what happened is in 1969, there was another large-scale offensive into the South by the Viet Cong, and this fucking ramped everything up. So that's when the Cambodian Civil War started kicking off in 1970, and you started seeing U.S. bombing into Cambodia and Laos. The North and South Vietnam forces also invaded Cambodia, where the North was successful in their operations. The South, not as much. The South also invaded Laos, but ultimately failed their operation. 1972 comes around, another big offensive by the VC, and this is where the U.S. again responds with just a massive bombing campaign. And basically you saw that original peace treaty just completely deteriorate, and all-out war kicks off again. 1973, after getting the literal shit bombed out of them, the North is suddenly more willing to talk about peace. Peace terms are established, and by the March of 1973, the U.S. has entirely backed out. 1975 is when you see the South Vietnam forces fall. Mm-hmm. So 2 years later. The big difference between this war is in World War II, you started to see special operations groups kind of established. There were obviously still front lines in World War II, but there was more room to kind of weave in between, get people behind enemy lines. I feel like you would have seen the same in Korea, but Korea just turned into a fucking meat grinder. It was, There was no getting through. It was just a wall of death.
So
it was horrible.
In my opinion, the difference between World War II and Vietnam, and with the special operations and whatnot, with the OSS and SOE, very much targets of opportunity.
Yes.
Whereas we're not going to send a whole battalion after this heavy water plant like we discussed one time, or what have you. We're going to, a couple guys, or hydric, and whatnot. Target of opportunity versus war of attrition.
Yeah.
Two completely different mindsets there.
Yeah, the Vietnamese, or specifically the Viet Cong, the thing that different them from traditional forces is they were guerrilla forces. They didn't have a standard uniform. They didn't follow traditional rules. They often relied on booby traps, shoot and move tactics, anything to not take on U.S. forces in full combat. It was a kill a few of them, take off. Kill a few of them, take off.
Just make them think.
Ambushes were very common. Anything to psychologically impact troops and to kill a few of them off. Casualty-wise, because if you compare Vietnam to any of our other conflicts, Vietnam's pretty low-key as far as casualties. We had 50,000 casualties where it was 53?
58.
Yeah.
58,000 casualties. Where you look at any of our island hopping campaigns. And,
that would have been a couple days.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but yeah.
So while Vietnam is always remembered as this horror show, it's because of how we got to that 58,000.
Well, also you got to remember
also the intimacy.
Thank you. I was about to say, you had a TV in every home. You had camera crews that were there able to show exactly what was going on in the day-to-day versus, like, of course, World War II, there were cameras, there were, pictures, there was film, sure. However, this is color. We have color TVs. Everybody has one. You have camera crews that are on the ground showing exactly what's happening. You're having people coming back home telling you, hey, this is what's going on over there. It's fucked up. It's just, it was more accessible to the public.
Oh yeah,
versus World War II.
So yes, 100%, and I don't disagree with any of that. What I meant by intimacy when I was doing this, intimate with the American public. You're right, but what I meant was if you look at the way that weapons changed, and namely rifles and everything, we went from these full power cartridges in like the M1 Garand and the M14 and everything for those extended distances. To us and the Russians or whoever they were supplying to these smaller intermediate cartridges, where 300, they'll go farther, very accurately. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But where they're being employed is 300 and in. Where you see the person, like they're there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a more intimate affair.
Yeah, and
I'm sorry, I wanted to add on to what you were talking about earlier. So we were talking about the bombing campaign. So obviously there was Operation Rolling Thunder, which was a big one. But what ended the war was Operation Linebacker 2, aka the Christmas bombings, where America bombed them from December 18th to December 29th. Merry Christmas. Here's 20,000 tons of ordnance.
That's why we call it NAM. We took out the Viet.
Yeah, that got hit by a bomb too.
And we talked about.
Sorry, I just want to add that in there.
We talked about tunnels earlier. So the Viet Cong used this extensive tunnel network that really throughout the entire country. Ho Chi Minh Trail is ironic because it wasn't a trail. It was underground tunnels. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean like you and your buddy can walk down. These were literal underground highways. You could have two-way traffic through these tunnels completely undetected from the surface.
Yep.
Moving supplies, troops, and everything.
Depending where you were.
Well, yes.
Yeah,
Well, some of it was also river route too. So there was river routes, there's underground.
Yeah,
some of it actually was above ground too, but yeah.
Yeah.
If you're under a village, it's going to be a little cramped. But in those mountains, and we were soldiers.
Yeah.
Cavernous.
Oh yeah, that was a whole city.
Yeah.
You could move thousands of troops
like ants.
very quickly. Yeah. That's honestly a really good way of putting it.
Honestly, God, like a little colony.
Country is just an anthill with these tunnels going everywhere. And so the Viet Cong utilized these they'd come out of the tunnels, they'd shoot a bit, kill a few people, and then they'd go back into the tunnels. Mm-hmm. And if you were the unfortunate people you had to go down into the tunnels to get them.
Tunnel rats.
And
I was going to say, those are called tunnel rats.
So the U.S. dealing with guerrilla warfare is what gave them the idea to fight back with guerrilla warfare. And that's where MACV-SOG, in a long extension, comes to be.
And I'm going to take a moment here and say, while I respect the tunnel rats, I do.
Oh, I'm surprised their balls could fit in those fucking holes.
Oh, absolutely. I love them dearly.
Nope.
But
I'm not going to.
How does your balls fit in that tunnel, dude? I don't get it. Anyways,
a lot of the stories about revolvers and how they don't jam come from people's idiotic understanding of those events.
Okay.
And they do jam. That's all I have to say about that.
Okay.
Yeah, because we were rocking the 1911 at the time, but the tunnel rats, a lot of them would prefer revolvers because you can neglect them for a lot longer. It's absolutely true. Plus, there's a giant lever to open it if you have an issue. There's a lot of practicality in it,
sure,
and everything. But like everything else, it gets these lessons learned on the front lines get synthesized down back on the mainland.
I see what you mean.
And you lose all the nuance and everything as to like why it was so advantageous in this particular subset too. That's why my wife needs a pink 38. They don't jam. They do, Buford. Proceed.
My first thought whenever I don't know why you reminded me of that because like the whole not jamming thing. The first time I ever heard that was in a movie, and it was Lethal Weapon, the first one.
Yeah. They all say,
and they were both Vietnam veterans.
Yeah.
Anyways,
they all say it. A little bit of bullet creeping in a revolver, it is completely useless. Best of luck.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's Ben's soapbox for the day. Yeah, I'm sure we'll be back on it later.
Oh, we're not done.
He's putting another soapbox on top of it.
So, how many does he have?
That needs to be a shirt.
Now that I can do.
That needs to be a shirt.
Now that we can work on.
All the topics on the soapbox.
That we can work on. That's something we can actually put out in the public and not be canceled for.
There's going to be some questions when it's a French box on top of a communism box on top of Woodrow Wilson.
Fuck Woodrow Wilson.
Let's have his legs sticking out of that one.
Just on top of his dead body. That's funny. Racist bastard. Anyways.
So that's when we get into MACV-SOG.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Did either one of you write down
So-
I got it.
MACV? The last part is
Studies and observations group.
studies and observations group.
Which was what they went by in the beginning of it all.
Yeah.
Which I've always found to be hilarious because that's the most American fucking thing you can do is hide something in plain sight. Like, oh, what do these guys do? Oh, they're studies and observations. What do they study and observe? I don't know, birds.
some of the time.
Vietnam.
Honestly, yeah.
So,
let's get in the acronym. So MACV-SOG, what it does stand for is Military Assistance Command, Vietnam Studies and Observations Group, is the whole shebang bang. SOG is the main crux of it all.
Military Assistance Command Vietnam was its own thing, the overarching mechanism in Vietnam, I guess. Would that be a good... like the military organism itself.
Like the command structure.
Yeah, but then you had Studies and Observation Group tagged onto it, is what I'm saying. One legitimate, one not.
Yes.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like you have, because people don't delineate between the two very often. So you had Military Assistance Command Vietnam, very, up front, it's in the papers, this, that, and the other. SOG, back of the shop, black bag kind of stuff.
Yeah. So the SOG task force, if you will, was a combination of all the SF groups. And you'll see this later on in history, kind of think Delta Force. You had U.S. Navy SEALs, you had Green Berets, you had Rangers, you had
Recon.
Yeah, Marine Force
you had
Recon.
TACP.
Oh, the LARPs.
The LARPs.
Not the LARPs. The LARPs.
The LARPs.
Yeah.
Oh.
You said LARP.
They
weren't LARPing.
They were LARPing.
They might be. They're really good at it.
The Air Force PJs. You just had this
small unit people.
Yeah. So you had this culmination of forces into roughly about a battalion size. Battalion size, you're talking about 600 to 1,000. And really their job was to do what the Vietnamese were doing to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the biggest problem and the reason for their formation, too, is because of the neutrality, quote unquote, of Laos and Cambodia. So a lot of the Ho Chi Minh Trail that was actually so eloquently stated as what it was, went through Laos and Cambodia. A lot of this was going through areas that we were not permitted to go into. Mm-hmm. So... If we draw somebody off to observe, quote unquote, something strategically, quote unquote, and study it with friends,
then we can bomb the neutrality out of them
and bring people back with them sometimes, maybe against their wills.
Well, and that was a big point of it. We joked about it before the record of we walked these guys up to the border and then let them go do whatever they wanted to go do. There was a massive layer of deniability.
Oh, yeah.
Everything from the food they ate to the clothes they wore.
The weapons, everything.
The weapons they used were used to confuse people as to the origin of the people there.
A lot of blue jeans. For whatever reason. A lot of blue jeans.
Yeah,
sure.
Not the clothing item I would wear into the jungle.
I'm gonna try to imitate a younger man right now, and I'm gonna say it's a vibe.
Okay. I feel like when Ashley listens to this episode, she's definitely gonna make a comment about that.
I hope.
Okay.
Well, now that you said something.
Yeah, right. There was one guy I looked up, Ed Wilcock. His uniform was all black. Was his main?
Yeah,
it was his main thing.
There was a lot of spray painting too.
A lot of that too. Yeah, because like we just mentioned, a lot of the weapons they used were made somewhere else in Europe.
Sucks.
They were made somewhere in Europe. Their silencers, somewhere in Europe.
Swedish K was a favorite.
So they had a lot of weapons. It could they might just be mercenaries. They didn't have dog tags. They used mercenaries.
I was just gonna say, and not a lot of people know that mercenaries were a thing back then. They think it's a more newer, modern thing, or just think Africa.
Oh,
for whatever
fair.
for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But no, it was there too.
Any of the old pictures of them carrying fucking Stoner 63s out through the woods. I'm like, oh, you beautiful person. But yeah, so a lot of their stuff was whatever the fuck they wanted to use, as long as it wasn't like standard issue U.S. made.
Yeah, a lot of it was Vietnamese anyway too.
They did use a lot,
or Soviet for.
They did use a lot of nationals. Vietnamese in these forces. You oftentimes saw around 50 to 75% of the team being from Vietnam.
Yeah, indigenous.
There we go.
But the mountain yards.
So essentially, these guys just went out. They went wherever they wanted. They did whatever they wanted. They carried whatever they wanted, and they fucked shit up
with mustaches.
Yes,
as was the style at the time, to quote Grandpa Simpson. But
yeah, so this group was majorly successful. Rough estimates are that their casualty ratio compared to what they took was about 158 to 1, with some estimates that that this battalion sized group that had about 600 to 1,000 people racked up about 80,000 casualties.
But going in 6 men at a time.
Yes.
Right. Roughly. And outnumbered 1,000 to 1.
Or more.
So,
we'll get there at one point. That was the one I was talking about. But, 158 to 1. That's... I mean, at a certain point, if you're that outnumbered, it's easy to aim. I will say that.
Well, I mean, everywhere you aim is going to be something to hit.
Yeah, like...
And that was another difference between them and like your standard military force of they oftentimes didn't have a whole lot of air support because they were where they weren't supposed to fucking be.
Right. Yeah, they didn't have very much backup. They didn't have very much air support. What they did have is a lot of bullets, though, because they were even saying in their packs were about, I think these had like 80 pounds or more. They carried more ammo and more gear than your standard.
Most of their missions averaged about 3 to 5 days, and yes, they came packing heat. Yeah. I always laughed at the aspect where they were like, yeah, they were like a reconnaissance group and like observers, but like the next sentence I read was, they almost always got found out and were always in a fight to the death style match.
Recon by fire. Just
look, that 80 pounds is to carry my binoculars, all right? I need a lot of them.
Well, I just like the idea of like, okay, we're a reconnaissance element. There's this white guy on a ridge with some binoculars checking out, things below.
Yeah.
Hey! What are you doing?
What's your name?
Nobody can nobody can report you back if everybody's dead.
That's what I always said during video games.
Yep,
with,
every time.
With the stealth thing, and my buddies would get pissed off at me that I would pass the level, like, nobody's trying to hear me.
Yeah, who's gonna snitch if they're all dead?
You said optional.
Yep. Dude, like Ghost Recon, I think it was Wildlands. I was playing with a bunch of my buddies, and they got mad at me about this too, because the same situation. It's like, all right, we gotta go in stealthy. And like they turn around and see me calling like LMG. I'm like, I mean, again, stealth.
Leroy Jenkins stealth.
Right.
I was always
so I'm just saying they're fucking dumping on this helicopter. Like, I'm gonna take it down. It's fine.
Mine back in the day was Splinter Cell. When you're sitting there next to your buddies and everything, and taking turns one of them. You're supposed to sneak through this, right? I am. They don't know I'm here.
That's right. They don't know anything.
Well, their knowledge is on that wall right there.
Exactly. So obviously these guys would have played they played the real life.
They played
the
hard
same
mode.
way that we would in a video game.
Did not give a fuck.
I mean, that's why I wanted to pick this topic, because these guys are pretty much what they made movies about.
So
like
this was very much the cowboy era for sure, because and again, I never fought a war this way, blah blah blah. But we never had forces like this either. So the Navy SEALs, they were stood up in 1962. And then the Green Berets, whom were the largest contributor to this group.
Yeah.
Well, actually, specifically, 5th Group was the largest contributor. They were stood up in 54, I want to say.
Yeah.
So a little bit more time, but still very new.
And then if the MACV-SOGs, they started back in 64.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a handful of years before.
Exactly.
And
all these new groups are working inside of a new group.
Right.
Along with the CIA that's only been around since 1945.
Yeah, I was going to get to that too. Like, you also have these guys participating in black op operations for the CIA. So,
And then you give them no oversight of your government doesn't even acknowledge you exist. And so,
I mean, we
If
have
you
a
tell me
lack
to
of.
fight to survive, I'm going to do it.
so yeah, they just did whatever the fuck they wanted to.
Yeah. I'm not mad about it.
No.
I
I mean,
not-
consider that we have a gross military oversight as we speak. It's fine.
Yeah,
Well, financial. I'm sorry. We have a gross financial military oversight as we speak.
So one of the actually big contributors to like the success of U.S. bombing campaigns were because of MACV-SOG.
Sure.
The Vietnamese didn't know how we were tracking their trails, and it had to do with electronic sensors. We were basically putting fucking not trail cameras, but trail cameras out on known
Just-
routes.
Yeah.
And-
Old sensory equipment.
And we knew when they were on the trail, and we'd fucking smack it.
Well, see, my first thought was like, well, I obviously infiltrated them. And then my second thought was, God damn it, Japanese Sean Connery.
Our lines have been penetrated. I don't do a good Connery beyond yes.
It's okay. You
Even that's
tried.
not that good.
But yeah, so using new technology that they had no idea that even existed, to like, oh, there they are. Hit the button. Push the button.
I feel like it's six guys in the woods going, what does this do?
Well, the CIA dudes.
I'm gonna
Give
tell
me
you,
this. Give me this.
I've watched a bunch of E4 stand around a fucking 105 shell being like, is this supposed to be here?
Dude, leave the E4 Mafia out of this.
Get the fuck away from me!
The E4 Mafia technically acquired that and had no idea what to do with it after
It doesn't get better with age.
They
And
hit him
regardless
with
of
a
profession.
bulldozer.
Regardless of profession, it doesn't get better with age. These guys are guys.
Oh, man. That's why I'm glad I don't have that kind of responsibility.
So
Would have died.
I had one buddy who I knew from like way back in the day when I worked at a paintball field, and this kid was a fucking stoner. And I remember after so many years of my career, he kind of reached out to me and he was asking me questions about the military, and I was like, "But why are you asking me these?" And he's like, "Oh, well, I'm in. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I didn't know you joined." And so I started asking him questions. I'm like, "Wait, what do you do?" He goes, "Oh, I'm a ranger." And like ranger tabbed, he's fucking out there with the SF groups in Afghanistan and just like fucking having the time of his life. He fucking sent me a Snapchat selfie of him in the middle of the woods with like those fucking 4-lensed night vision goggles on.
Oh, yeah. The quad nods.
Yeah. And I'm like, I fucking hate you. Dude's wearing $100,000 worth of gear on him right now. And
I mean, you know.
Panos are absurdly expensive.
he's a fucking...
Again, the military financial oversight that we have in this country.
Dude, just what he's talking about. Just those panos are like 40 grand. You can save some money if you get the aviation ones. They're not
like
as,
$5.
They're not as rugged.
So let's talk about some of these operations, though, so we can get this finished.
So Aaron can eat.
Well, we're almost at an hour.
Oh,
so
shit.
yeah,
I dragged down the history a little bit much.
Hey, that's
Yeah,
fine.
well,
Hey,
you know.
usually I'm the one overpowering these things, so I'm happy to see you talk for once.
yeah.
But don't let it fucking happen again.
There we
I'm
go.
gonna go sit over in the corner.
But
There's a lot of corners up here.
There's more than 4. There's like 10.
Indeed,
it's weird when you have options.
indeed. So you want to start us off with one, Ben?
Yeah, sure. Let me
'Cause I got 2
get back
to get into here.
Yeah,
So
we realized after picking this topic that maybe the group that wasn't taking records of their actions wasn't the best one to do an episode.
even though it's declassified.
And the declassified. So what I saw was that it was partially declassified back in the 90s, but then you said the 2000s, so it might have been another partial declassification. So yeah, which is why a lot of these people starting to be heard about now. Is because they're starting to get the medals they should have gotten years ago, because now they can talk about it. Like now, like, oh,
Right.
okay, yeah. Remember that one time though you did the one thing and the one place was supposed to be. Yeah, about that. Yeah, here's a medal.
Their medal citation's just fucking ridiculous. And here's the Medal of Honor.
Yep.
Don't ask why.
That's
Don't ask why.
right.
It's the wrong branch. Shh. But so there's 2 things I'm going to talk about. One, very briefly, it's called the Phoenix program. Anybody?
Yep.
Okay. So I have conflicting reports on whether or not they were actually involved in it. or not.
I mean,
Whether it was just
That was the whole fucking thing.
I mean,
whether it was just the CIA's baby, and they put people onto it, and MACV-SOG wasn't involved with that. But yeah, if you don't know what the Phoenix program is, you should look into it. It's got everything: assassinations, counterterrorism, counterinsurgency, psyops,
Yep.
torture. Yeah, look up the
literally everything that SOG was there for.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, anyways.
Yeah, and it's
When I hear the Phoenix operation, I think of men who stare at goats.
That's a good one.
yeah, and that's fair.
As far as like stateside operation.
From the reading, what I did, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if MACV-SOG like picked them or located them
Sure.
or something.
I'm sure it's one of those ones of like escorting a CIA contact or
Something like that, because the rest of the program reads like just
and
bland CIA stuff.
And we went out there and had a picnic, and nothing else.
And nothing else happened.
Nothing else
happened. Go ahead and try to find someone who says otherwise.
They're dead. They're dead too. Oh shit!
Oh wait, no. They're on vacation.
Is that a recorder?
And now you're dead.
But the main one I want to talk about, again, if you don't know anything about the Phoenix program, just look it up. I just want to mention it just for the sake of mentioning it. But Thanksgiving Day, 1968. This man you can find on YouTube to this day. John Stryker. I thought I wrote it down. I think it's John Stryker Meyer. I might not have. But
yeah, I would have left the Meyer part off my last name. Like, just call me John Stryker at this point.
Yeah, right.
That's too badass.
And I know his nickname was Tilt for whatever reason, which means that Stryker's his actual middle name, possibly.
Yeah,
which is interesting. So anyway, I want to say it's John Stryker Meyer, and again, he's on a ton of podcasts, a ton of his own stuff, it seems, and everything. So he's very reachable as far as history and knowledge goes. But a dangerous mission that was carried out by SOG in 1968. A 6-man team facing overwhelming odds of against a NVA or 3 divisions of the NVA, North Vietnamese Army. And during the operation, the MACV-SOG team was conducting a deep reconnaissance mission behind enemy lines along the Ho Chi Minh Trail or in one of the neighboring countries like Laos or Cambodia, areas critical to North Vietnamese supply lines. The team encountered a massive NVA force estimated to be around 30,000 troops. There are 6 of them. And despite being heavily outnumbered, the team managed to evade capture, return fire, everything else. To the point, so to give you an idea, they were so close, or this 30,000 man force got so close to this 6-man group by the time the helicopter was coming down to get our guys, they were so close that the Claymore mines are what helped save them. That's how close they were. They actually put them on timed fuses instead of the tripwire. They had 5-second fuses set on these Claymores, and so between the grenade launchers and the Claymores, that's what saved their ass. But yeah, Thanksgiving Day, 1968. Look it up.
From what I had heard from that situation is these 3 Vietnamese divisions had basically fallen off the map. So they sent these guys out there to like go find them. Mm-hmm. They found them. And from what I had heard is they noticed they had found them when they realized they were in the middle of the camp.
Yes.
They started looking around and people started moving around them. They're like, they're here.
We're too good at our job, boys.
Yeah, it was one of those things of where the jungle changes, more or less. Like
why are the trees moving?
Well, no, like where the geography basically changed. That's the way he talked about it. So it's just not a locale that they're used to.
Sure.
So their point man, because of just the way the foliage is and this, that, and the other.
Oh, I'm sure it wasn't easy.
Yeah, the point man basically walked them into the camp and just
Huh.
Yeah.
I want
This
to
is
know the
awkward.
stare down that happened.
Well, if I remember correctly, this is one of those moments where the joke is true. That point man's name was fuck.
Oh, like PH.
Yeah, PHUC or something like that.
Fuck, what the fuck?
Oh, fuck.
Again? Fuck, again?
Fuck, what? No, fuck!
I think we just lost our PG-13 rating.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, walk them into the camp. Again, I'm not saying anything about this gentleman whatsoever.
Oh, I'm sure it was a complete. I mean, like,
no, yeah, like,
it cannot be an easy job.
No, absolutely not. And there's no Monday quarterback.
Goddamn jungle.
Right.
Yeah.
Can't be an easy job.
Absolutely not Monday morning quarterbacking this. But yeah, walks them right in, and like John said, started to move. And
the trees, they spoke Vietnamese.
yeah. And yeah, then a significant gunfight.
Yeah.
You know,
I can only imagine.
Again, there's no bad place to aim. That's the only good part of it.
Yeah.
Aim. Where?
Huh.
Yes.
General area.
Yeah.
No taller than your head. Just
Right. Just go for it.
yeah.
I did also. We kind of forgot to mention it. The Vietnamese did like eventually start realizing like, oh shit, they're playing our game to
Yes.
all this. So when I said earlier about like, hey, the food they ate mattered, the Vietnamese were tracking them by smell and by fecal matter.
Yep.
And could tell who took that shit. Bounties were placed on these.
Oh, a lot of people.
Oh, big time.
And they were very much tracked down.
Well, the problem that, well, not with the MACV-SOG, but just with other people within the Vietnam War that were on the American side, or not the Vietnam side, the quote unquote heroes or the badasses were publicized. So they were in the papers. So all the Vietnamese have to do was get a paper or watch the news, and they'll know the names of the people that were being publicized as being these heroes, and then find them and then murder them, because morale, of course, is a big issue.
Absolutely.
And especially for the American public not wanting to be in this war in the first place. They're like, oh yeah, look at this guy. He's a hero. He saved these people's lives.
And dead.
And now he's dead. Like, why the fuck are we here? So it's been
Yeah, and it wasn't just necessarily a thing of like, oh, they just happened to kill him. Again, there was guerrilla tactics and not uniform. You kind of just walked into the area that you were trying to find him in a city or whatever, and you just went to the U.S. forces.
Yep. Wait for him on leave and set a trap.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or pay the South Vietnamese to do it.
The South Vietnamese were a joke in a lot of ways.
Yep. That's something. You got another one?
No, those were my two. I'll find another soapbox at some point.
Sure. All right. You mind if I?
No. Okay. I will find it in there.
Again, like we mentioned earlier, finding actual operations of these guys was kind of hard just because, well, they weren't supposed to be there. So here's what we got, though.
But we figured enough time.
Well, we got some shit, though. So the one I got two. Well, one for sure, and then the other one's kind of it might have happened, but it probably fucking happened.
Like I said about the Phoenix.
Right.
It involved, but maybe.
Kind of,
Yeah.
But this one for sure, this happened. So Oscar 8, this was actually the name of a location, not an operation. What happened is so from SOG, there was about 100 operatives, and well, from SOG, there was maybe half of those were operators. The other half were mercenaries and locals. As we mentioned, they did use a lot of local military to carry out some of their operations. So what happened it was about 100 people though, on the side of the good guys. So they were sent there to capture or kill a general. So the plan was, which was an interesting plan when they said capture, the kill part was way more likely with this scenario. So what they did was, they're like, okay, cool. Here's what we're going to do. Found this general, right? We're going to go there, going to capture, again, going to see why that's weird, or kill him and just for the operation, right? They dropped 246 tons of bombs on this base before they sent them in to capture or kill the general.
You ever tried to drag a sleeping man anywhere? Wake his ass up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the Americans are here.
What tipped it off? So, anyways, so the plan was, the bombing run goes in first because the general was also in the middle of a fucking base, and the base was full of troops. Who would have guessed? But anyways,
one usually begets the other.
So okay, we're gonna carpet bomb the area. That should be enough for you guys to just go in, find the body, capture alive.
Scoop him into a pail.
That helmet they all wear, just flip that fucker over.
Right, scoop him there. It's fine.
So question a bucket.
They got sent in. There was a whole list of. This was actually an operation that they had a bit of backup for, a little bit, not much, but there were quick strike teams ready to go in if need be. There was also a bit of air support too, and I mean a bit. There was like 2 Phantoms and I think 2 other support bombing craft, and I think 1 observation craft. Anyways, and then 2 Hueys for closer air support. Well, as the observation craft flew over this base, they realized, oh, okay, that's pretty good. There can't be much live down there anymore, right? And then all of a sudden, you just see a bunch of people running in from the jungle to put out fires. And they kept running out of the jungle. And they kept running out of the jungle. And there was way more people than they expected there to be. So oh shit, we should probably call for mission. Right? Anybody there? No? Can we pick up the phone? No? Oh fuck. So they went to call off a mission. Nobody picked up they weren't fast enough. Right before they got there.
Straight to voicemail.
Pretty much ignored the phone call. They were landing. So the first initial craft that was carrying soldiers got shot down. Just didn't even have a chance. Got cut down by an aircraft. The 2 Hueys that were there to support them also got shot down by anti-air fire. The 2 the Phantoms that were there to supply air support were also getting shot down by anti-air fire. And then you have the other SOG team that actually did fucking make it. So the thing that and we mentioned this before, these people were not wearing any American uniforms. They were using local soldiers. They were using mercenaries as well. So because of that, you're avoiding a lot of Geneva Convention things to help you because you're not officially in the military. So if you get captured, you're pretty far fucked.
No, you don't have to be treated any special way.
You don't. Yeah,
more treated like a terrorist.
Honestly, yeah. So they land and they're fighting. They're trying to escape at this point. They're fighting for their lives. Ain't no get no general. They're trying to get out. So 45 of their commandos were still alive. They found cover inside of a crater left over by the bombing run.
Look, we did a thing.
Yeah, look at that.
The Air Force is I'll chalk that up.
That's a win. That's a W. The problem is there were actually, like I said, there were quick strike teams that were there for support that could come in and help them out. Yeah, guess what got shot down too? So they couldn't make it. They couldn't get close enough. So
Air Force erases their fucking
okay, all right.
Zero days since there was an accident.
Exactly. For 2 days, they fought off an entire base worth of enemies. For 2 days, these 45 dudes fought 2 days. No sleep. No, let's take a break. Day and night. 48 hours of a gunfight. And they end up living. So
kind of the American way at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, again, we talked about it earlier of these dudes averaged 158 casualties per person.
Right, each, right.
Which means you had
per their casualty.
Mm-hmm.
So for one of them, 158 souls were leaving this earth.
Pretty sure this is one of those days.
Or limbs.
Yeah, and that's just an average. It means there was some highs and lows in there. I mean, you had a guy who probably only got 100, and then you had a guy who
unfortunately, this day, 23 members of SOG and 50 local fighters were either killed, captured, or missing.
Jeez.
Unfortunately, and I should have written this guy's name down. I don't know why I didn't do this, but that's my fault. But the sergeant in SOG was captured, right? He was wounded. He was captured. The North Vietnamese were trying to use him as bait. So hey, come get your guy. We have him captured, So they were trying to bait the rest of SOG to come out and, you know, and get him. Didn't work. So they kept him captured. Like, well, we still got him. So, like, you know, let's keep him captured. Yeah, he escaped. He was wounded and still managed to escape and was found 5 days later by a recon that was trying to find him.
I believe it.
Yeah. So, well, as we mentioned before, like, you take the most badass of badasses and they put them in the same group together with a bunch of CIA dudes. Like, hey, we're going to do some stuff.
It's really the fact that I'm not going to let you talk shit about me when I get back.
Like, oh, I thought you got captured. I'm back. Fuck you. You didn't come and get me. I got out.
I did it myself.
Right. I do have one more to go over.
Actually, real quick.
Sure.
Brief sideline because we were talking about prisoners. While I was doing research and everything, found out, because I feel like it's been forever since there was a Vietnam documentary.
It has been a while.
I found one as up and coming. It's called Operation Kingpin, 27 minutes at Sante.
Right.
I always mix it up. But yeah, I know it's Operation Kingpin. And basically it's the big attempt at a prisoner rescue in Vietnam by the Sante Raiders. It was like 56 Green Berets.
Yeah.
A bunch of airmen. Just a whole mess of people and everything. And spoiler alert, they didn't get a single prisoner. They had been moved like a day or so earlier. But it became the example for raids because it everything went so perfectly, even though they lost an aircraft, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Everything like this is the way it's done. Whether we got them or not, this is the way we do it, kind of thing. And they have a documentary coming out on that raid. Up and coming. It's just Operation Kingpin, 27 minutes at Sante.
I'm just sitting there. I'm like, think of like the after action review on that. Yeah, we didn't get any of the people we came for. However,
it looked damn cool.
That looks really cool, guys. I think that one's for the record books.
It was what was actually kind of cool in the aftermath of that was the people that had been moved and everything. Somehow they found out about the raid happening, and
did their own raid.
Well, the people that did survive being prisoner and everything else, years later or months, whatever, came back to report that when they found out about the raid and realized that we haven't been forgotten about, we haven't been left behind. People are trying. There's a huge boost for these people. So even though it was technically a failed mission, they might have saved lives just due to keeping spirits up. Yeah, and whatnot. But that documentary is coming out. It's in post-production, according to IMDb.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it reminded me of there was another one there in World War II that was successful by the airborne, but that actually did work.
Yeah.
It reminded me of that, but it actually worked, so a little different. But right on. Yeah, I didn't know about that. I had no idea because I hadn't really heard much about it.
It's a cool read. There was a lot that went into it. Like I think they built a mock prison, a mock compound, and they were miles away from. I don't remember how many, but let's say 60,000 NVA. Like it's get in, get the hell out.
Yeah, sure.
Kind of thing. We're all screwed. It was one of those deals. You had the prison, but miles away you had like the like Bin Laden. I mean, granted it was a military academy, but still, something similar to that, just with maybe graver stakes. But it's a cool story.
Interesting. Yeah. Right on. I'll have to look out for that. All right, I got one more to go through.
That was a good tone.
Mm.
That sounded like a guitar strum. I'm not gonna lie.
Nice. All right. So this is one of those. Was it really there? I mean, it just happened that this operation there was a MACV-SOG operation the same day, and they did report a general was killed. They just didn't say who did it. So this dude, Carlos Hathcock. There's a whole story about this dude, the most successful sniper in Vietnam War, one of the most deadly men of all time. There's a lot to talk about with this guy. I'm not going to do it.
A ton.
But thankfully, the fatal attrition did cover him. So watch that video. Anyways, but one of the things I want to bring up though about him though. So as everyone, this dude, Carlos Hathcock, aka the White Feather, because he wore a white feather in his cap. long story with that too. Not get into it. He, again, very, very successful sniper. 2 times these Marine recon dudes came on a helicopter, and 2 times they asked, who the fuck's the best sniper? Well, the first time they asked who the best sniper was, then he said him, and then he proved it, and then they came back for him again. The first time, real quick, there's a French dude, the French. So when the French pulled out of Vietnam, this dude decided to stay. And he was running guns between the Soviet Union and the Vietnamese, I think it was Viet Cong. He was real cautious. He was a real cautious guy. He would only show his face at his front gate when reading the soldiers. He didn't want them on his property. He wanted him, he had a villa. He ended up, I'm sure, acquiring through legal means. And so he didn't want them at his villa. He would go to the front gate, do the business, and then, they would leave. So again, these people just so happen to know that they might have been there looking at him. They might have done their own recon. Some would say
they might have observed.
They might have observed.
Might have been a group of them.
Might have studied.
Might have studied.
Might have been a group.
Might have studied, observed in a group.
And they
in the proper order.
And they might have figured out that the villa is surrounded by 800 yards of open field in each direction, but there may be a good spot for somebody to say, I don't know, a talented sniper to hide out and
surely you jest
and I don't know, maybe shoot this French asshole.
Also, you should hit the button.
Which button?
Yeah, which button?
You know which button.
Do I?
You do. That wasn't it.
It's the same button again.
There we go. A sniper.
Because could hide out. Some would say. With 800 yards of a clear shot to this dude.
Was it worth it?
It was.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy.
I'm glad. We're an hour and 20 minutes into this bad boy. All right, so like I said, there might have been of studies and observation of this area. So these Marine recon guys come. Who's best sniper? Carl's like, that'd be me. So him, his spotter, they go get dropped on a helicopter, set up 800 yards away. Like I said before, 800 yards for a sniper. I mean, that's a pretty good fucking distance. That's a handsome distance.
About a half mile.
Especially with the technology of the day. So
yeah, optics weren't shit.
Yeah, that's a handsome distance. Now, according to the story, he was also very tall. And I mean, no offense to people in Vietnam, but they're not that vertically gifted. So you have a really tall French dude wearing a white shirt standing right in front of you 800 yards away. It makes the job a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
He drops his ass, gets on the helicopter, goes back to base. They don't mention it ever again. There's no operation name, no thank yous, nothing. Like, here, cool, thanks, maybe thanks, see ya, and then they leave. They come back again. They're like, hey, Carlos, we need you to come with us. We've studied and observed as a group some other shit you need to take care of.
And as a group, we concur.
I wish they started every fucking mission as that. We are a group that studies and observes. And like, it was just the biggest fucking joke ever.
It sounds very Men in Black.
It really does.
Yeah,
it really does.
Yeah.
Again, the CIA was involved with it.
Yeah,
it makes so much sense. So much sense is being made here. So this other one, this was a general, actually. So they're like, hey, you got this guy living at a French villa. There's a lot of French villas going on here.
I mean,
there was a lot of France going on before.
Yeah, they didn't last long. So
can't spell villain without villa.
Yeah, that's true.
You gotta move the I, but it works.
It's fine. So this so this NVA general was staying at his French villa, but he was on the Carlos doesn't know where this was, because he didn't know where the first guy was either. So he might have been dropped off on the other side of the border and had no idea. Moving on. So the group of the studious observational.
Do you know how to shoot somebody? Cool. Do that here. That's all you need to know.
I just, with that description, I just have like a Cotton Hill thing going on in my head right now. I don't know where I was, but I don't know if they're Vietnamese, Cambodian, or Laotian. I just know that they took my shins.
And I shot him dead.
I can fit him in.
So this one a little bit more challenging though. So Carlos, being the man that he was, definitely he took the maps, he studied them overnight. He went by himself though, because of the difficulty of this. He didn't want anybody else to get involved. Didn't want to risk anybody else's lives. He knew he could do it by himself. He did it by himself. So French Villa had a ridge line with a bunch of trees on it. So it was real. There was an easy sniper location for him to get to and take the shot. However, he realized that that's where they expected it to come from. He was like, man, they would expect somebody to be in the tree line and do all the shooting. I'm going to go into the grass and shoot his ass. It'd be great. So he ended up getting dropped off somewhere. Who knows?
Somewhere green.
Or
there were
maybe.
There were trees.
No, there weren't. No, there was just grass. Just a lot of grass.
I'm sure there were trees somewhere.
It was grass. So he crawled. He took one canteen of water with him, a little bit of food, and he crawled for 3 days.
Oh, I remember this story.
I feel like he needed more canteens.
He probably should have.
They would have clanked.
But yeah, he would have claimed a bigger, he didn't want, the smallest he possibly could be, wanted to be small. A lot of things happened in this time period. He almost got caught a couple times. A vulture almost ate him. Anyways, fire ants attacked him.
This is the one I remember.
Hey!
Hey! There's a dude down here.
Just going through like a lifetime of experiences.
Right, in a few days.
Yeah, but in a couple of yards, essentially.
At a time, yeah.
Yeah.
So it took him 3 days. He was moving 1 foot an hour.
It would be funny. Like he's
not that.
He's going through all this effort. Dude just fucking leaves.
Dude, I would throw a rifle down and leave.
You just see a bush stand up. Well, that's just perfect.
Fucking.
God damn it.
But the story reminded me a lot of like the Modern Warfare 1, where like you're in the full ghillie suit and you're like trying to crawl through. Yeah. Yeah. It just reminds me so much of that. Like you did all this effort to take one shot. So he ran out of water. He was getting eaten alive by fire ants. As I said before, there was a vulture that was hovering above him because he wasn't moving during the day. He was only moving at night. For obvious reasons. And because the vulture was hovering above him, he's like, I need to move. So he started moving again during the daytime. And he ended up making it to a spot, whatever. So he made it 1,200 yards to get to the spot where we want to take the shot at. So he makes it there, finds the guy, thankfully, takes a shot, drops him, and as he figured, the Vietnamese were shooting in the wrong direction. So he scooted his ass out of there. And unfortunately, because he was moving in the daytime and nighttime, he got his mission accomplished early. There was nobody there to pick him up. So he's standing outside waiting for somebody to pick him up from school, and nobody was there.
This is Billy Madison with a rifle.
Pretty much. That's what my first thought was.
Just walking up and down the driveway.
So thankfully, he was at least camouflaged pretty well. He actually found a sniper hide and took a nap until the helicopter.
I fucking would.
I snore, man. I'd be like, who the fuck? Why is that bush snoring?
That's the thing. That's the thing I always think about, being all those years smoking and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
If I had to fucking sleep outside and surreptitiously, and when I just, oh, man, so, people passing by. Yeah, it's so peaceful. The hell is that?
Why is that bush snoring? Why does that bear have a bush?
Why does that bush have a bear?
Yep. Anywho, that's all I got.
That's
We're at an hour and a half.
that's what I got.
I was going to say, for our listeners at home, 1,200 yards over 3 days is 0.009 miles an hour.
Golly.
Damn, dude. That's slow.
The average person walks at 4 miles an hour, so they were moving roughly 500 times faster.
I was going to guess 3.
Yeah, I'm not doing that math.
Yeah, my God.
Mm-hmm. So that's all we got for y'all today, though. I mean, it's an hour and a half in. You guys stay with us this whole time. We appreciate you. Give us a like and follow on social media. We're going to be getting back to posting on there soon. And give us a follow on your favorite listening service, so that way you don't miss an episode, even if we don't post about it. We appreciate y'all if you do follow us. We appreciate y'all if you stuck around with us. And we will catch up with you all next time. Y'all be cool.